In this project, I'm going to use the chain ladder method to estimate how much an insurance company should reserve. I've got some synthetic data and it's in a claims triangle. So I'm going to briefly just talk you through the claims triangle, and then I'll briefly explain how I use the chain ladder method to estimate the ultimate claims for each year in the past 10 years, and also then how much to reserve for each year. So first of all, if you have a look at the screen on the right, I've got a claims triangle, and I'm just going to briefly explain what's going on. To do that, what I'd like you to do is just have a look at the top row for 2015. The numbers to the right of 2015, so if I highlight that row, represent the total number of claims that happen for all of the events that only occurred in 2015. What quite often happens is that for events that people can claim from the insurance company for, they might not do it immediately. So they'll do it over a number of years. And that's what these numbers represent. So if you have a look at the number to the right of 2015, we've got 5,000 in the column Dev 0, development year 0. That means for the claims or for the events that occurred in 2015 that people can claim for, people claimed £5,000. If you move to the right, we've got 7,500. So this represents the total number of claims that occurred for everything that happened in 2015 after 1 year. So for all the events that occurred in 2015, in the first year, people claimed 5,000. So most people claimed straight away. And then some people, they made their claims after in 2016, so the following year. If you move to the right, we're in development year 2, so this is 2017 now. And now for all those events that occurred in 2015, people have now made £9,000 worth of claims. So it's cumulative. And it's getting the total number of claims for what happened in 2015 is getting bigger and bigger, but by smaller amounts, because most claims are being resolved now, and it's only a few, perhaps for legal matters, that won't be resolved. To keep this scenario quite simple, we're going to assume that all claims are settled within 10 years. So for that year, 2015, for all of the incidents that occurred, the total number of claims right at the end, in the cell I've highlighted, is £10,900. Okay. And then you can see for the subsequent years, 2016 to 2024, we don't know how many claims have been made, or we don't know the total number of claims after 10 years. And that's what we're going to try and predict. Okay, on the next page, I've got the exactly same triangle, but I've used the chain ladder method to actually estimate the ultimate claims. So let's have a quick look. All right. Okay, so the way we're going to do this is say, the way we're going to try and predict the total number of claims for each accident year is by working out the factor by which the claims increase each year. To explain that, what I'm going to ask you to do is just have a look at this cell down here that I've highlighted. It's got approximately 1.49. This is the factor by which the claims increase from the first year to the second year, from Dev 0 to Dev 1. And the way we've got this number 1.49 is we've just simply taken the numbers from development year 1 and divided them by the numbers from development year 0. So I've added up these numbers here and divided them by these numbers here. Whoops. And that's given me an average factor by which the numbers increase by to go from Dev 0 to Dev 1. I've then done the same to go from Dev 1 to Dev 2. So here I've got my factor 1.18, and that's come from these numbers divided by these numbers. I summed the ones from Dev 2 divided by the sum from Dev 1. And I've continued to do that all the way along this row here. And these are my factors by which the claims increase by each year. And there is a slight drawback here, because if you have a look at the last year, development year 9, we've only got 2015 to go on. We don't have a lot of data. So to figure out how much the claims increase by to go from development year 8 to development year 9, all I've done is simply done 10,900 divided by 10,880. So, but unfortunately that's the data we've got to work with. All right, so these down the bottom here are called our link ratios, and that's what we're going to use to work out the ultimate number of claims for each accident year. And to give you an example, I'm just going to focus on the bottom row, 2024. So right now we're in 2025, and for all of the events that occurred in 2024, most people made their claims straight away, to be honest. So you can see here in development year 0, most people claimed, well, the claims that were actually made were £5,500. The question is, for all the events that occurred in 2024, how many claims will there be altogether? So over 10 years, once all of the claims are made and settled, how much will the insurance company be liable for? So first of all, we're going to try and predict the total number of claims after 1 year. So in Dev 1. So this number here. And the way we reach this number, 8,203, is we simply multiplied 5,500 by the link ratio, 1.49. And then to work out how these claims develop into development year 2, take 8,203 and multiply it by the new link ratio, 1.18, to get 9,729. And we'll continue to multiply these numbers by the link ratios to see how they cumulatively develop after 10 years. And we can see right up the end here in development year 9, where we're assuming all claims have been settled, we think the total claims for accident year 2024 is going to be 11,680. And if I just come to the right slightly, you can see I've got my ultimate claims there for each accident year. I'm just going to expand this spreadsheet slightly. I'll come across here. There we go. Okay, so that's how we get our ultimate claims. And then finally, how do we figure out how much to reserve for each year? Well, it's just one extra operation. Again, we'll do this for 2024. So here we are. So far, for all the accidents that occurred in 2024, people have made £5,500 worth of claims. We think for all of these accidents in 2024, there's going to be £11,680 worth of claims. So how much should we reserve as an insurance company? Simply the difference between these two numbers. And if you do 11,680 minus 5,500, we get how much we should reserve as an insurance company, which is 6,180. Okay, so that's it. That's how we use the chain lender method to figure out how much to reserve. Two things to say. First of all, the numbers are a little bit unrealistic. Obviously, you appreciate they're quite small, in the thousands. And secondly, there are some major drawbacks to this method, um, and that will cause us maybe to use a couple of other methods to figure out how much to reserve. Okay, thanks for listening.